I'm Andrew Whelton. I'm a professor of civil, environmental, and ecological engineering at Purdue University. Depending on the severity of the wildfire and the damage it caused, it can take a few days to over a year to find, repair, and restore service to a community. Generally, what we see when there are spot fires around a single community is that certain parts of the community are unaffected and their water is fine, or their infrastructure is fine, they have water pressure. Whereas other parts of the community where fire entered or jumped from embers from one area into another area, that area may need more scrutiny. And there may be advisories or orders that are in place to protect people from potentially harmful water. My team specializes in drinking water system damage assessment and contamination response and recovery. In the past, we've responded and been called into major wildfire events in the United States. We have provided government agencies as well as local municipalities and their leaders advice on how to respond and recover from these disasters. Wildfires or structure fires can cause physical damage to water systems, can cause pipe breaks and leaks, and sometimes what happens is that leads to what's called depressurization, or the water stops coming out of the faucet. And when that happens, the water systems are then vulnerable to chemical contamination, where chemicals can find their way into the buried pipes and be transported to other properties in the area when they start repressurizing the system. When wildfires happen, the most important aspect of response is life safety, protecting lives, and also protecting the safety of municipal workers or utility workers who are going in and shutting off power as well as stopping water leaks. While communities are waiting to see what types of impacts have occurred, they should pay attention to utility leaders and health officials. Both utility leaders and health officials will be able to comment on the types of damage that have happened to the water systems, as well as whether or not it's safe to use that water. Sometimes water can be used for certain purposes, but not others. So sometimes wildfire-contaminated water can be used for bathing, but may not be drinkable. And so that's why it's very important that people pay attention to utility leaders and health officials after wildfires. When wildfires enter communities, one of the problems that we have is that structures become ignition sources and embers originate from the structures. We have fires going from structure to structure. When we have too many structures that get destroyed, we then can have water systems become depressurized. And that's how contamination can get into these water systems. The way that we fight that is we shut those destroyed structures off from the water system. We literally remove their ability to communicate with that water system so that there's no way that contamination can get from that destroyed structure to the water system and affect people down the street. Another important aspect of wildfire response and recovery is the recovery of the property owners themselves. And so while the infrastructure, the power infrastructure from a utility or the drinking water infrastructure from a utility is being tested and repaired, property owners need to pay attention to safety issues on their own property. There is guidance available from public health entities like health departments about what types of things you need to pay attention to. The air can be harmful because you have a lot of soot, debris, and smoke there. And many of these materials may have burned and contained asbestos or other toxic chemicals. We also have to worry about re-entering the property because of the safety associated with interacting with these chemicals and getting them on your skin. You don't want children going onto these destroyed properties because they are a sensitive population. And so there are very specific guidelines and recommendations for protecting yourself as you go back onto your property. You want to talk to health officials to better understand that before you take that action.